Let's improve money again before we take the thing out of the hands of government.
Yo, welcome to Simply Bitcoin. We are your number one source for the peaceful Bitcoin revolution. We cover breaking news, culture, memetic warfare. We have it all. We will show you why only Bitcoin can give you true financial sovereignty. Today we are going to debunk all the propaganda hit pieces. No, that was the Max and Stacy episode. I just totally read that. That was wrong. No, today we are going to cover the Hodlonaut, but it's not Nico doing it. It's the first time that Opti is headlining. He is going to cover what is going on in the Hodlonaut case, who's winning the case. There's some good news, and shout out to Bitcoin Magazine, by the way, because they've done an incredible job covering it on their YouTube channel, and also they've been tweeting out the coverage as well. And then on the news, we're going to cover the merge. And why are we going to cover the merge of some Ethereum shit? Well, we're going to cover the merge from the Bitcoiners' perspective, and some very interesting people were celebrating that the merge was happening, and you definitely don't want those people on your corner, right? And then also during the news, we're going to cover, guys, institutions are here. You know, we were saying that for so long in 2016, 2017, 2018. We're like, when the institutions are coming, when the institutions. I'm going to make the case for you guys today that the institutions are here, and they have tremendous amount of capital under management, and now all that capital has access to Bitcoin without pulling out of those institutions in the first place. So I don't know what that means long term, but I guess you could make the argument it's bullish. There are some downsides to it as well. We're gonna get to that. But anyways, Opti, how you doing, brother?
Well, I was doing very good. Now I feel like I'm on the spot, Nico.
Good. Embrace
but I'm
it.
good, man. I'm good. I was telling everyone the space, bro. I literally dreamt about making content, and I woke up and it's just like, okay, here we go. Continuing on the mission of spreading the sound money gospel. So, you know, I'm just blessed to be here, man. Blessed to do this. So let's just get into it, Nico.
Sound money gospel. Opti is Saint Opti. You should just change. No, it's already there, right? It's already on your Twitter.
Yeah, it's already there, bro.
Anyways, let's start the show. Let's do it. Number time. Brought to you by NODL. At this point, you should be running your own Bitcoin node. If you don't use your own Bitcoin node, you're trusting someone else's. Run your own version of Bitcoin Core, the Lightning Network, Whirlpool, and Dojo, all from the comfort of your own home. And if you're a digital nomad, you have absolutely no excuse, because now you can run a NODL through a virtual private server. Visit nodl.eu today. That's right. If you're not running your own Bitcoin node, you're using someone else's. Run your own Bitcoin node. Don't trust someone else, right? If you're new to Bitcoin and you bought a hardware wallet, and that hardware wallet comes with its own app, and you're like, oh, I got my Bitcoin. How do you know you have your own Bitcoin if you're not verifying that with your own copy of the blockchain? And you could only do it by running your own hardware, right? Whether that's running Bitcoin Core on a computer, or you have a dedicated device. And that's, I think, what a lot of Bitcoiners mean when they say run your own node, right? You could either build one or you could buy one pre-made. Obviously, we recommend the NODL. The NODL is freaking awesome. Anyways, that being said, the Bitcoin price at the time of recording is 19,706 sats per dollar, also known as Moscow time, 5,075. Block height, 754,224. Reachable Bitcoin nodes, 14,870. Blocks to the halvening, 85,776. Having estimate April 22nd, 2024, total Lightning Network capacity, 4,773, around $100 million US. Realized monetary inflation, 1.78%, taking the US dollar to school. Market capitalization, 378. I'm going to take advantage of the numbers section to talk about the merge and what the merge means for Bitcoin. So first, what is the merge? Merge is the final pivot from Ethereum moving from a proof of work system to a proof of stake system. We've made that argument over the last couple of weeks that is just going to centralize Ethereum even more and make it even more prone to censorship. Here is this beautiful tweet that explains it in such a simplistic way. I think it's really appropriate. It is by Still Early Jack, and he says, "Is it as simple as this? Majority of ETH staked will be kept on exchanges. All exchanges will become major validators." We've said that to you before on the show. "Regulators will control the exchanges. ETH successfully replicates the current system." Remember, guys, at the end of the day, the reason that banks suck as the way they do, right? First of all, they're holding your money. But another reason is the government was able to successfully capture them. And they have these giant compliance department that isn't even allowed to talk to the customer service department. And the compliance department acts like an arm of the government, basically. And Ethereum, the way that it's structured right now with the proof of stake system, and remember, where is the majority of Ethereum held? It's held on exchanges, right? So the exchanges are the ones holding the most at stake, meaning they're and who stops the government from coming and knocking on their door and saying, "Hey, I'm going to shut you down unless you run an OFAC compliant ETH node," right? It's very different compared to Bitcoin, because in Bitcoin, the majority of nodes are run by the people. So if the government wants to pass this bullshit law where it's like, hey, you can only run an OFAC compliant Bitcoin node, as an individual, why the fuck am I going to do that? Right? It's a whole different dynamic. Anyways, another thing that I wanted to get to is this, right? The attack vector coming to Bitcoin. It's going to be massive. And just to give you guys a quick reminder, remember, there's the Cleaning Up Cryptocurrency panel in Congress, the recent report by the White House, specifically attacking Bitcoin's proof of work. Remember that. And you know what they also advocated for on that report? They advocated for, guess what? Proof of stake. The attack vector is going to be this. And there's a reason that Vitalik, right, said this morning. The merge will reduce worldwide electricity consumption by 0.2%. Right? And it's this terrible idea. The reason that Europe is exactly where it is today, right, is this idea that half the world is convinced that using less energy is a good thing. No, using more energy is directly correlated with human prosperity. Anyways, they're going to use this to attack Bitcoin. They're going to say, hey, Ethereum uses significantly less energy and Bitcoin does not. And look, I'll tell you something else. If the people that openly say you should eat bugs and the people that openly say you should own nothing and be happy by 2030 are literally celebrating, yes, ladies and gentlemen, this is the front page of the World Economic Forum. It says Ethereum merge, what it means for the cryptocurrency industry. Know what Ethereum merge is and how Ethereum's imminent shift from proof of work to proof of stake could herald as a sea change towards, here it is, sustainability among cryptocurrencies. Remember, this is the same terrible ideology that got Europe into the dark ages, into the energy crisis that we still haven't felt the brunt of because not even winter yet. But they're talking about capital controls. It's absolutely terrifying. But it's not only that. This is Aya Miyaguchi. Ethereum Foundation apparently has a board, right? So Ethereum is apparently controlled by people, and she sits on the board, right? And guess where she's on? She's also on the World Economic Forum. Usually, when the World Economic Forum is on your side with certain things, it is usually not a good sign. And you know what the World Economic Forum has attacked many times in the past? Propaganda. They've tweeted it out. Unfortunately, when they tweet it out, you're going to get a bunch of plebs in the comments fighting you back. So they don't like that very much. But they've attacked Bitcoin on Twitter, right? Why? Because of its energy use. But don't fall for the bullshit. Has nothing to do with energy. It never has. This is about controlling people. You control the food, you control the energy, and you control people. And I think how Bitcoin exposes everyone's incentives, it's going to expose this one as well, right? It was always about control. It has never been about the climate. Anyways, Opti, what are your thoughts on the Ethereum merge, brother?
Well, I mean, we've covered it a lot on this show, and we know that ETH is captured. And as you said it in the past, quote unquote, actually not even quote unquote, AKA Fedcoin, like ETH has been pushed to become the CBDC settlement layer of choice by these very people. And I don't know if you saw that clip going around this morning about Vitalik talking about how proof of work is based on the laws of physics. So you have to work with the world as it is, but proof of stake is a virtualized way. Virtualized in this way, it's because letting us create a simulated universe that has its own laws of physics. Like the insanity of the freaking like verbal diarrhea that is going on in ETHland to spin this narrative is absolutely crazy. Like the fact that they're pushing this as you know, something that is better than proof of work, it obviously shows their bias, and it's really sad to see people fall for this narrative and furthermore push this narrative. Like this is an anti-human narrative to just continue the fiat system on the blockchain and then co-opt the quote unquote decentralized movement. Like this is very obviously an attack vector against proof of work, because proof of work is the only consensus mechanism that allows us to not mess with the money supply. Like this is what we're doing here. We're trying to further push freedom money, and the fact that the World Economic Forum, the fact that the legacy system continues to push proof of stake down our throats, just is further proof to me that this is not the way, that you should avoid proof of stake as much as possible. But furthermore, I'm kind of excited for it, to be honest, because it's further proof that proof of stake is trash. And it's just like, now it's not theoretical. We have, you know, proof of work coin, as someone said, I forget who it was and exactly how they put it, but they said something on the lines of like, now finally Bitcoin is the one true proof of work coin out there, and it will just further shine. Like to steal a meme, you know, Bitcoin proof of work star is rising. So I think this is obviously bullish for Bitcoiners, and I think there's going to be a lot of pain for these ETH guys out here who think, or better yet, who have fallen for the narrative of proof of stake being more energy efficient and the likes. And it's just, man, it's so beautiful to be a Bitcoiner and not get hoodwinked by all these bad narratives. But like you said, man, the fact that the World Economic Forum, the fact that Legacy System is pushing for the ETH merge so hard, it's very obvious where their bias is and what they want humanity to be. They want you enslaved by the fiat system, and they want to make sure that you don't find the exit door. So what are we going to do? We're going to continue to push Bitcoin, continue to double down on proof of work, and help people escape the fiat system, escape fiat slavery. Like, this is a noble cause. Do not fall for the narrative of proof of stake is better, more energy efficient. Like, it's blatant lies, very obviously.
It's lies, misrepresentations. It's just bullshit, man. They can't debate your ideas. So what they have to do is character attack. Anyways, I just want to mention this because it is a notable mention. Thank you, Extemos. Today is Independence Day for Freedom Country, El Salvador. So shout out to the Salvadorian people. Awesome. Enjoy your freedom. And there's much more to come since you guys adopted a Bitcoin standard. But anyways, Opti, let's get to the news.
The Daily News.
Brought to you by CryptoCloaks.com. They make the best 3D printed Bitcoin merch in the game. From custom node cases to key rings to the famous 3D printed Bitcoin grenade toy. Comes in any custom color your heart desires. You want it in gold, they make it in gold, but only on CryptoCloaks.com. All right, guys, so we're going to start with some very bullish news first. This was a very, very big deal. We have reached the moment in time. Institutions are here. This was a very big narrative in 2017. The institutions are coming. The institutions are coming. No, bro, they never came. But now they're here. They're here. They're finally here. Fidelity, Charles Schwab, and Citadel Securities to launch crypto exchange. Now, I know what you guys are thinking, like, who the fuck cares? There's so many crypto exchanges. Why are you talking about this? Blah, 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 noise. You have to look behind the scenes, right? How much money does Fidelity have under management? They have 4.5 trillion. Trillion with the T, by the way. Moving on. Charles Schwab, they have 8.14 trillion under management. Here is Citadel. They have 50 billion. It's a small fish, but it's still $50 billion. And of course, we all remember BlackRock, right? BlackRock did the same thing. They pushed into the Bitcoin market. I don't know why they put crypto, because they literally said that they only, that they're going to offer only Bitcoin. So BlackRock has 10 trillion. So let's do a little bit of math, right? 10 plus 4.5, let's round it up to 5, right? So 15 trillion. And we have Klaus, Freudian slip. Charles Schwab, another 8.14 trillion. So that's that's like 20 something trillion dollars that now has exposure to Bitcoin. That's a lot of money, dude. Institutions are here, and it's really interesting because it looks like they waited until the bear market. They picked their time to get in, right? They're like, okay, Bitcoin's going to 69K, everyone's plugging in a miner at home. Kind of feels toppy. Now that Bitcoin's 70% down, by the way, that's extremely bullish, 70% down. And that's when BlackRock, and that's when Fidelity, and that's when all these huge institutions that have trillions and trillions of trillions of dollars under assets, what people would call the smart money, that's when they decide to enter the game. And now here's another thing. Do you think that if they felt that Bitcoin had no future, they would make moves like this? And also another component as well is if you look at the companies that were aiding the development of the exchange, huge VC or venture capital places that you guys have probably heard the names of: Citadel, Paradigm, Sequoia, Virtue Financial, right? So this is a big names. So yeah, man, this is a huge deal, dude. That's a tremendous amount of money. Now, I'm going to cover the other aspect, right? Will this help the revolution? No, it will not. Why? Because I think that this can happen. This can cause a lot of rehypothecation. I'm going to read a little bit about what that is. What is rehypothecated Bitcoin? Rehypothecation is when a custodian, such as a financial institution, such as a bank or brokerage, loans out more assets or cash deposits than they have on their books, and the sole intention of financial gain or to cover their obligations in the future. The practice could be seen as greed, but in some cases, market demand encourages risk-taking because the potential reward is too high. It's common practice for prime brokerage to rehypothecate securities posted with them as collateral by a hedge fund for the brokerage transactions and trades. The issue of rehypothecation is directly associated with the centralized risk of Bitcoin ownership. The more we allow third parties to hold Bitcoin, the more we encourage this behavior. You can wait for regulation to limit the exposure these entities can take on, or you can restrict them through market forces by taking custody of your coins. So it's what Jeff Ross said perfectly yesterday on the show. Bitcoin makes these giant institutions that have all these other people's money in their possession obsolete. But you're not going to obsolete them if they're holding the Bitcoin themselves, right? So yes, it could be potentially on the short term very bullish on the price. On the long term, what I would like to see is more individuals taking personal responsibility and taking Bitcoin into self-custody. So there's some pros, there's some cons. You look at it from an investment, amazing. You look at it from the revolutionary aspect, not so much. Anyways, Opti, what are your thoughts, brother?
Well, first off, it's happening, GIF. It's happening. But my first contention is the fact that they use the word crypto. So there's that opening for them to push the Fed coins and the other altcoins and all that stuff. But hey, we've said it before on this show, and we'll probably continue to say it. Like, big money does not FOMO into the Bitcoin price. They buy Bitcoin at the price that they want, and then they pack their bags and they'll let it pump. And like you said, there is a very big concern about them making more paper Bitcoin than the spot Bitcoin that they have in cold storage. But this is why we tell you guys every single day that self-custody is the revolution. Take your private keys, buy Bitcoin ethically and make sure that you have that Bitcoin in cold storage, because as long as you take self-custody of that Bitcoin, then they can't do the fiat system again with Bitcoin. And this is a feature and not a bug. So while this is definitely good for like the marketing aspect, the PR looks of Bitcoin, it makes it seem safer for the average person to get into Bitcoin, there is a very real concern about them rehypothecating Bitcoin and trying to recreate the fiat system with Bitcoin. And so this is why we tell you guys all the time to take your Bitcoin into cold storage and own those private keys and verify those Bitcoins using your own node. So protect yourself from this by running a node, using a node, and putting your Bitcoin in cold storage. Self-custody is the revolution. But hey, man, it is happening. We've been saying for a while that this is going to happen, that institutions are coming, and now it's very obvious that they're here. So do not get shaken out of the price movement. Like don't sell them your Bitcoin, guys. Come on. You should know by now what the game is, and they're going to try to shake you out of your position, but zoom out, number goes up in the future, everything divided by 21 million, all the memes, whatever meme you need to instill in your mind that you should not let go of your Bitcoin. Do not scam yourself out of your Bitcoin, guys.
Amen. Amen to that. All right, guys, we're going to pivot a little bit. Now, some interesting developments. Here is, our favorite shitcoin CEO. When we say favorite, we're totally fucking joking. Obviously, Brian Armstrong. Brian Armstrong, because it's Coinbase. Now Brian Armstrong controls Ethereum. It's Jeff Bezos and Brian Armstrong. His story keeps getting better now. Anyways, so this is kind of a follow-up to what was happening with the Treasury. Right, the Treasury, we all know this. We've covered this tremendously on the show. Treasury sanctioned open source software for the first time in history. We'd like to make the argument is that they're trying to make a precedent because Bitcoin is open source software. They didn't sanction an individual or a country or whatever. They sanctioned specifically open source software. Now, the problem with that is that when they did that, you can't stop certain Ethereum addresses from receiving transactions. So what did a lot of people do? A lot of known Ethereum addresses that belong to Americans, people just sent them so-called dirty, tarnished, tornado cash Ethereum to those addresses. And now, according to the Treasury's rules that they applied retroactively, technically, if those American citizens spend from those addresses, they are in violation of the sanctions. So what did Coinbase do? Coinbase sued the Treasury. Now, the Treasury responded. Now, before you start to celebrate, right, they said U.S. Treasury OFAC releases clarifications on Tornado Cash for transactions involving Tornado Cash that were initiated prior to the designation August 8, 2022, but not completed by the date of designation. U.S. persons conducting transactions within U.S. jurisdiction may request a specific license from the Office of Foreign Asset Control to engage in transactions involving the subject virtual currency. So you're like, okay, I'm fine, dude. I could just crazy apply for a sanction for a license for using open source technology, and this calls into question the utility of this lawsuit. I think they wanted to get it dismissed, and the reason that I believe they want to get it dismissed is because it calls into question. The lawsuit will call into question some very big things. Does the U.S. Treasury have the authority to get to dictate what tools an American citizen can and cannot use? Because remember, the way that sanctions are the way that they function today is that they're meant to go after specific individuals and they're meant to go after specific governments. But here what they're doing is they're saying, you as an American, you can't use a specific online tool that is neutral by nature. It doesn't benefit the North Korean government more than it benefits the American government. It's a tool. It's like saying guns are responsible for the deaths. It's like, no, the person shooting the gun is responsible for the death, right? So yeah, man, this is some bullshit. This is a cop-out by the Treasury. I'm really interested to see what happens to the lawsuit. Is it going to be thrown out? Are judges going to go along with it? I have no idea, but it's an interesting development. And again, guys, the Treasury keeps making masterful chess moves, bro. Masterful. Remember, they're the ones that snuck in the provision into the infrastructure bill. Remember what Cynthia Lummis said at BitBlock Boom when she was being interviewed by Parker Lewis. She said specifically, the Treasury is the most hostile, right? They keep making moves, bro, that down the road, they might seem like noise here. No one cares about Tornado Cash. It's never been about Tornado Cash. It's about setting a precedent and saying, yes, we at the federal government have the capability to sanction specific open source software, because if Bitcoin ever becomes too much of a problem, American citizens can't run certain Bitcoin software unless it's OFAC compliant. And that would defeat the entire purpose of Bitcoin, but it would still allow the US government tremendous amounts of power to continue weaponizing the money, right? So yeah, man, this is I think people underestimate these people because they're like, oh, they're government bureaucrats or whatever. It's like, fine, you could say that, but you can't deny that the moves they have made are extremely strategic and it positions themselves in a good location. I think over time, they will lose this. They lost the encryption wars in the 90s, but holy cow, that still doesn't mean they're not going to put up a fight. Opti, what are your thoughts?
Well, this is just laughable. Apply for a license to get your coins, and furthermore to use open source software, like you said. It's absolutely ridiculous. You don't need anyone's approval to use open source software, let alone someone telling you it's okay to use Bitcoin. And this is why we tell you guys to use Bitcoin, and furthermore to get Bitcoin any way possible, so that this doesn't happen to you. Like, again, these are attempts to co-opt Bitcoin, and we've said it before. It's like, we are definitely in the then they fight you stage, but we are still kind of in the beginning of that stage where they're doing roundabout ways to kind of confuse the average person out there, so that they just get wrecked and they get stuck in the system. And furthermore, Nico, this isn't on the news, but did you see that Coinbase is adding like an approve function on their platform, so that which coins are good via like Congress? Or I didn't fully look into it, but it's just further proof that some people out there are looking to appease the regulators, appease the powers that be, so that it looks like they're abiding by the rules, so that we don't like do anything bad over here. But furthermore, it's just like, it's not a criminal act to use open source software, and the fact that OFAC and furthermore these powers that be are angling this in this direction is what you keep saying. It's like, they are coming after open source software. They're coming after Bitcoin. But like I've said, they aren't going to come out here like on a full frontal direct attack yet. Like, we're not there yet in the movie, but it's coming. I think me and Nico have been saying for a while, it's like, it's not going to get easier. It's only going to get harder until we finally take back our full sovereignty and our full money, and tell these people to go F themselves. Like, it's absolutely insane. This is ridiculous. You're muted, Nico.
Yeah, dude, I agree with you. And the thing that you buried the lead there a little bit with the Coinbase thing, right? They released something on their app, which, by the way, I kind of like. They released a Coinbase like feature where, depending on your state and your location, it shows whether that specific politician in that location favors Bitcoin or not, right? And at the end of the day, look, people are waking up to the fact that, look, at the end of the day, Bitcoin, whether you see it or not, is an extremely political technology. What do I mean by that? It's not political in the sense of like, oh, you have to support a certain party. No, it's political in the sense that, dude, it gives you tremendous amount of power, right? For the individual, the likes of which you've never seen before, right? So I think Coinbase took a good initiative there, because I think in the long run, politics won't matter. But I think in the short term, the transitional period, I absolutely think that a lot of these people can make your life a living hell. Right. So I would love to see Bitcoin companies take this initiative. Right. And if you actually look at what the definition of politics are, right? When I said that, I said politics is the set of activities that are associated with making decisions in groups or other forms of power relations among individuals, such as the distribution of resources and status. So yeah, you know why Bitcoin's political? Because it takes away the ability for the mob to implement that on top of you, right? Through a vote or whatever, right? It empowers the individual, and what it does is it takes power away from the collective, right? That's what Bitcoin does. And I think that what this app did right, bro, is that it at least highlights, you're buying your shit coin on fucking Coinbase, right? And then Brad Sherman comes out of the woodwork and he's like, it's a threat to crypto. Oh. And then you're on your fucking, app, and you're like, yeah, fuck this Brad Sherman guy. Now, what I would like to see is Bitcoin companies take the same freaking initiative and make it more Bitcoin centric. Because if we could learn something about what happened during the infrastructure bill, was the coin center wasn't enough. There needed to be a shitcoin lobbying arm, and there needed to be a Bitcoin lobbying arm. And I think the Bitcoin Policy Institute, shout out David Zell, is doing a great job with that, right? So I hope Bitcoin companies see that and they take it. Now, in the long run, I know what a lot of people are saying is like, bro, politics, Bitcoin, doesn't matter. Yeah, you're absolutely right. I literally went down that rabbit hole with Dr. Ross on yesterday's episode on the interview. But the transition period could be very bloody. And it was actually Max Kaiser and Stacy, what we were talking about yesterday, they were talking about the transition, right? The transition is what keeps me up at night. It's not Bitcoin winning at the end of the day. It's how we get there in the first place, right? Do you really want to move, right? Is that something that you're, let's say you don't even, let's say it's not economically feasible for you to do it. So what is the next best option? Next best option, unfortunately, is to hope that the politician in your area doesn't make your life a living hell because you're holding fucking Bitcoin, right? So anyways, a little bit of a tangent on there, but I'm glad that you brought that up because that was newsworthy, but it wasn't newsworthy enough to put it in the news. But since you brought it up, it justified a comment. Anyways, Opti.
Beautiful, bro. I can't follow that one up, bro.
All right, let's get to the big kahuna, the culture. Let's do it.
The Daily Culture.
Brought to you by SwanBitcoin.com. Swan is the best way to build your Bitcoin stack with automated Bitcoin savings plans and instant purchases, serving clients of any size from $10 to $10 million. We love Swan because they incentivize self-custody and dollar cost averaging. What are you waiting for? Visit SwanBitcoin.com today. All right, guys, I also want to give a shout out to Pacific Bitcoin. It's going to be the largest Bitcoin conference on the coast, November 10th through 11th, Los Angeles, California. Speaker list includes Michael Saylor, Lynn Alden, Jeff Booth. That's right, Michael Saylor, the Chad Saylor is going to be there. Gary Clipson, Dylan Leclerc, Pierre Richard, Mark Moss, Guy Swan, Parker Lewis. Opti and I are going to do a Simply Bitcoin from Pacific Bitcoin. It's going to be awesome, guys. You don't want to miss it. And you can take advantage of the promo code SIMPLY to get a major discount to your Pacific Bitcoin ticket.
All right, guys. Well, as you guys know, the Hodlonaut Craig Wright fake Toshi case has been ongoing. Today is the 4th day, so I'm going to cover what we know up to this point and, you know, get some of the tidbits from Twitter. I got a lot of receipts in here. I hope to cover them all. But it was a little difficult to follow everything on Twitter because there's so much nonsense. But as you can see here on this CoinDesk article, the headline, Craig Wright won't give cryptographic proof. He's Satoshi. His lawyers say at Hodlonaut trial. And so let's just jump into it. So as you can see, the Hodlonaut Craig Wright trial on its first day, let's just clear up exactly what's going on with the trial. So this case is in Oslo about multiple tweets by Hodlonaut. And the purpose of this trial is to assess to the degree that Hodlonaut's tweets were damaging and not ultimately ruling whether or not Craig Wright is Satoshi or not. But to do that fairly, it requires the judge to come in understanding of whether or not fake Toshi is Satoshi. Anyways, I want to start this one by this really good start of a tweet by Wiz Security, and he goes, following the Hodlonaut trial, I won't live debunk everything, but he will follow up with some commentary, and the first one is Brandolini's law. As you guys know, states that the amount of energy to refute bullshit is an order of magnitude bigger than it is to produce it. So again, some background on this case. Hodlonaut is a plaintiff in this case trying to secure a declaration that his statements about Wright weren't libelous as a proactive defense to Wright's UK libel lawsuit against him. So let's just jump in. What happened on the first day? First day was just opening statements by Hodlonaut's lawyer, and it was going through the various instances of Wright's longtime lies and frauds to try to explain to the court who they're dealing with. And we'll get into some of that stuff following up. And day two, the opening statement by Wright's lawyer spends a lot of time talking about him, about Bitcoin and him being Satoshi, and essentially a lot of lies. And regarding anti-CSW talk, they basically hold Hodlonaut responsible for the hostile tone of all the discussions everywhere by anyone saying anything bad about Craig Wright and anyone using the hashtag Craig Wright is a fraud. But remember, wasn't that Peter McCormick's fault earlier a couple months ago when he went through his trial? So again, we're not going to cover all the lies here because there's so much, but we're going to try to cover some of the BS in here. So the disingenuous claims about forensics, the evidence must be so bad for Wright since they're trying to ridicule and discredit it. And this is just on the second day before the cross-examination. And they're feeding it with dumb layman takes rather than countering the argument. So First one is the claims that digital signatures are pointless and no one checks them. And this is regarding the Electrum downloads. Guys, we say it all the time, don't trust, verify. I think every Bitcoiner says up front, make sure you are checking the digital signatures of the software you are running so that you are not downloading bad software. But this case is heavily reliant on the Gavin Andresen key signing, repeatedly saying that Gavin wouldn't have been tricked, despite the fact that Gavin himself has stated on the record that he didn't actually verify anything, and having been misled to believe his signing was mostly ceremonial ahead of public proof. And as Beautyon beautifully put it in this tweet, he's quoting Arthur Van Pelt, and he goes, Craig Wright, the world's first cryptographically provable con artist, and Gavin Andresen. It was a mistake to agree to publish my post before I saw his. I assumed his post would simply be a signed message anybody could easily verify. And as Beautyon perfectly put in regards to Gavin, this is a man who has very bad judgment. He thought nothing of going to the CIA to lecture them about Bitcoin and trusted what Arthur calls a con artist that he will provide the proof later. And this is the same guy who started Bitcoin Classic. A bunch of nonsense beliefs. Guys, Bitcoiners, Gavin won't help you. He loves watching you guys squirm, and he wants to damage Bitcoin. Guys, it's very obvious. Anyways, let's keep going. By Wiz Security, the expert report apparently can't state with certainty that all documents are inauthentic. So what? We should just disregard the forgeries and trust the rest. And as he quoted, I found 20 poisoned apples in this barrel, but I couldn't check all the apples, so the rest are probably fine. This is the kind of logic that the lawyer is telling the judge to throw out in this case. And as Wiz Sec here, he says, the only reason people had to treat Wright signing as a hypothesis to disprove rather than the other way around is that Wright refused to disclose any testable evidence, the signatures. And when he later did post a signature, it was demonstrably fake. So there's a long line of Craig Wright being a fraud and a con, but they acknowledge Wright had promised to provide public proof following the key signings, but never did, and says there was a lot of speculation about why, but they don't know why. This is his legal team saying they don't know why, when they could have asked Wright himself. This is who they are representing because he knows why. Anyways, just to put a little caveat in here, as Wiz said, I hate to sound biased by not having much to comment on for Hodlonaut's side, but there's really isn't much to say since they're not lying about anything. For Wright, on the other hand, I have to curate just a small selection of dishonesties to comment on, or it's a crazy amount of tweets out there. Like, I had to filter through so many tweets, and I could only pick some of the stuff to just give you guys a certain narrative of what exactly is going on in this case, because there's a lot of BS and there's a lot of lying going on, and it's very hard for someone that doesn't have the technical background of Bitcoin to debunk all this stuff. Like, I genuinely feel sorry for the judge and even Hodlonaut's lawyer, because they have to go through so much nuance to just counter all the BS that Craig Wright is spewing out in real time in the court case. So, to the journalist, Wiz Security says, don't say Wright has failed to prove his claims as if he has made some good faith attempts and it just wasn't enough to convince people. He's been repeatedly caught using forged evidence, and it has convinced the vast majority of people that he is a fraud. There is a big difference. Anyways, Hodlonaut interjects, and I think this is another telling point of who Craig Wright is and what Hodlonaut is actually facing. He said that journalists have reached out to him and say that they've been giving smear packages on him, suggesting an organized campaign against his person from Wright's side. And Wright's lawyer said he doesn't understand how that's relevant to the case. It's obviously very relevant to the case, considering that they are trying to spin a narrative of him being Satoshi when in fact he is a con man and a fraud. And as Wiz said, and these are people that have been in the court, there's just so much lying, it's exasperating. And this autistic person who can't deceive is constantly misleading people, stating things in real time. My friend Ben Price was on the Bitcoin magazine doing some coverage, and he put it very succinctly. He's like, you could tell in real time that Fake Toshi was creating lies and just trying to cover his own ass as the lies go on. And so some reflections on day two. This is from BitNorbert. He has some great threads. I put them in the YouTube chat so you guys can follow along and, you know, get all the sauce, and from word of mouth, or not from word of mouth, but from people that were in the courthouse. And so from reflections on day two, all the storytelling to support Craig being Satoshi has been done in several older cases, and I'm personally a bit bored with them. There's nothing new, and the stories haven't worked before. So they're trying to rehash the same narratives that Craig Wright is Satoshi, using debunked information and just doubling down on the lies. And this is the type of stuff that Hodlonaut has to deal with. As you guys know, Craig Wright has 9 lawyers. Hodlonaut has 2. This is very much a David versus Goliath scenario. And so, again, we are all Hodlonaut. We stand with Hodlonaut. This is a very obvious attack on Bitcoin. And anyways, day 3, this is when we had the cross-examination. So the judge had to clarify the expectation for truth, including to not omit relevant details. And now both teams of lawyers will ask their questions of Hodlonaut, and the judge also mentioned she may ask some questions of her own after both parties have finished their own questioning. And here again, my friend Ben Price just goes, 2 minutes into cross-examination, Craig already caught in a lie, but he doesn't even remember the lie. He's just spinning lies as he goes because he understands that the judge and even the lawyers themselves aren't technical enough to counter all the BS that he's pushing out there, because they're just average people. They don't have the technical whereabout of Bitcoin like a lot of us do. And even then, it's hard to counter all the BS when it's happening in real time. Again, remember Brandolini's law, where it takes a lot more effort to counter the BS than to tell the truth. And here I just picked a few little points in here just to show what kind of ridiculous stuff is going on in this courthouse. So we got a question. Do you have access to these private keys at this point in time? The answer from Craig Wright is no. The question, did you at any point in time? And he goes, yes, I created the algorithm. The amount of narcissism coming out from CSW is absolutely amazing. Furthermore, CSW says he's not going to attempt to decrypt the private keys to do a signing to prove he is Satoshi. He says his time talking and emailing with Gavin is what proves he is Satoshi. It is very simple. Just sign one of those transactions to prove you are who you say you are, but you can't. So you're just going to spin more lies to further spin this web of lies, because the average person just gets caught up in so much BS. But anyway, CSW rants about Bitcoin is not encrypted. He wants the judge in the court to understand that Bitcoin can be seized, Bitcoin can be frozen, and Bitcoin can be assessed under court order. Guys, we very patently know that this is false. Like, what is the court going to do? Just put a court order and reorg the Bitcoin blockchain? Like, CSW is just spinning lies in real time, and it's incredibly hard for Hodlonaut's lawyer and the judge to counter all this bull. But anyways, I really love this quote right here, verbatim apparently. I don't even care about the Satoshi keys. Like, the whole thing going on here is he just has to sign a transaction with those keys, and he can very easily prove that he is who he says he is, but he can't because he's a fraud and a con man, and so he doesn't have the keys, so he can't sign these transactions, which is probably why he doesn't care about the Satoshi keys. Anyways, reflections on day 3, hashtag we are all Hodlonaut. Norbert puts, I'm exhausted after each court day, but today I'm something else as well, energized. I have to interpret this physical reaction as a growing optimism on Hodlonaut's behalf. So if you guys watch the Bitcoin Magazine coverage, it is becoming very clear that even the judge herself is starting to catch Craig Wright in these lies.
Well, I mean, but like, okay, but hold on. That's I think based on how she's phrasing things and the questions he's asking, it sure looks like that's where the judge is going. And
Agreed.
I really think that the smoking gun here, Opti, it's what you said, bro. Look, have you ever signed a lot? I'm sure you guys have already done this. Have you signed a Bitcoin transaction?
It's yes.
Right. You send Bitcoin. You have to sign it. Right. That's all that is being requested. All of this can go away, and CSW can redeem himself, and he could finally prove that he says who he says he is, but he hasn't.
Exactly.
And 2 judges and 2 separate countries. We had the Klein case in Florida, and we had the case of Peter McCormack. And the judges said in different words, we believe that CSW has misrepresented himself. In the Peter McCormack case, he only awarded CSW a pound, you know? So, I mean, look, if this comes out where we believe it's going to come out based on how the judge has been saying things, and, you know, the ruling that we would prefer, then it will be 3 judges in 3 different countries that have all said that CSW has misrepresented himself. So, and the thing that you said in the beginning, Opti, is in order to resolve this case, the judge has to come to some type of idea whether CSW is actually Satoshi or not. So this case is extremely important at the end of the day. And if you want CSW to stop bullying Bitcoiners that are going against what he claims, that this case is extremely important. And I really hope that the truth prevails and that Hodlonaut prevails in this. Giving the benefit of the doubt to someone who has been called a liar, not by us, but by 2 different judges, giving the benefit of the doubt to someone that all he has to do is sign from one address of which we know belong to Satoshi, and he still hasn't been able to do that. And he's willing to go through all of this bullshit, spend all this money on trials because he doesn't want to do that. Dude, you can't say for sure, but holy crap, does it look like the guy is fucking lying? That's what it looks like.
Beautiful.
Why doesn't he sign that? Why doesn't he sign the transaction? Why doesn't he prove that he owns the addresses that he says he owns? And I might add, during the Klein case, there was a specific address of which CSW claimed belonged to him that some stranger signed and said, no, that doesn't belong to CSW. So we know he's saying he adds addresses that he doesn't own. We know that 2 different judges, not simply Bitcoin, not toxic Bitcoiners, but 2 separate judges in 2 separate countries have said, this guy's misrepresenting himself. I mean, what's the obvious answer here? Like, it's just crazy. Do you really think Satoshi would go through the legal system to try to silence someone's speech? Bitcoin is the exact opposite of that. Anyways, Nico ran over. I'm sorry.
Beautiful. I'm glad you went off, Nico. That's perfect, because it went perfectly on the end of how we were going to finish this culture segment. By Fractal Encrypt, beautifully said. It's easier to fly 9 lawyers, an entire media crew, and a documentary team all the way across the planet to engage in litigation on multiple continents than it is to sign a message proving you control the keys to a Bitcoin address. And I like how you put this, the judge asked Wright to help her understand why signing cryptographically is harder for him than what he's doing now. And Wright basically says it's harder to do because it's harder to do. Like he's literally making stuff up. But anyways, I like this tweet right here. And it says, I signed this message in 5 seconds with 1 click using the software Satoshi created. Like, the tools are out there, and this could all very much end if he had the keys to sign a transaction. And it's very obvious that he doesn't, and he's just doing this whole charade to, as we've covered in the past, to bury his enemies in paper and litigation so that he can try to come out on top. But again, we're all Hodlonaut, and it's looking like even the judge herself is starting to see through the bullshit. So will we know exactly what is going on until this is over? No. Today we are going to hear statements by witnesses. I think they already got covered. There's probably in the thread, so we'll have to keep you guys updated. The last day of this trial is Wednesday of next week, so I'm sure by next week we will continue to go down this coverage. But as Nico said, man, the fact of the matters are, this could very much be over if you just signed a transaction with a UTXO that we know is owned by Satoshi.
He doesn't even have to do that. He doesn't even have an initiated transaction. He could just prove
he just signed,
that he owns that corresponding private key. That's all he has to do. All of this goes away. He will win all his trials by default. Bakataka. And he will get to silence who he wants because he's proving that he's Satoshi Nakamoto, but he refuses to do that, dude. And then another component, right, is this idea where he keeps saying that, and I saw a video, shout out to Bitcoin Mag, doing an incredible job, that they played a video of him in a trial where he's saying that the court has the ability to freeze Bitcoin things. Like, how does that work? So like I said, dude, like you can't say with 100% certainty, but holy crap, like I can't come to another conclusion. I can't come to another conclusion in my head, bro. Like it's hard to believe that this guy says who he says he is based on his actions, based on his lack of proof, based on the refusal to sign a transaction. You don't even have to send Bitcoin. You could just say, look, that belongs to me. And I don't know enough to know who's winning, because that's the title of the video. Who would you say, Opti, because you're the one that did the research for this, who do you say is winning the trial right now based on the judge's comments?
Based on the demeanor that I've caught, it to me, maybe I am biased, but it seems like Hodlonaut is winning this because, as you just said, you know, Craig Wright is unhinged in the courtroom, and Hodlonaut and his team are a lot more reserved, a lot more stoic, and even the judge is herself asking, like, what does any of the stuff that you're talking about, Craig Wright, have to do with you know, proving that you are who you say you are? And she even said it herself, like, this could very easily be over if you just sign a transaction, would it not? And he said, and I'm gonna butcher it, but he basically said, yes, but I will never sign a transaction because I've already proved who I say I am. And it's like, he's just doubling down on the lies, and he very directly said he will never sign a transaction even if he could. So he doesn't even want this to end. He wants this to continue to go on.
I mean, I don't know how else. I don't know after everything that you've said, everything that you've covered, the things that I've seen, I don't know. And in a history of being caught, not by Simply Bitcoin, not by Bitcoiners, but by judges saying that he misrepresented himself in two different cases, the McCormack case and the Klein case. So this guy has a history of lying to court. I don't know how he expects people to take his word for it, and he's not even willing to provide the proof. Like, yep. Dude, it's disgusting. And the sad part, man, is that he's attacking awesome Bitcoiners, dude, that have contributed a tremendous amount to the space, and he's attacking them to silence them, dude. To silence them, man. Like, that is the opposite of what Bitcoin encompasses, man. It's the complete opposite. So, yeah, dude, exactly. I hope this has a good resolution. We will cover it. We will cover the ending, whatever it is. We wish Hodlonaut the best of luck. He has an awesome case. He has the support of the community. He raised a tremendous amount of money with the fundraising, and that's awesome. And I love how everyone just came together and helped him. Yeah, man. We are all Hodlonaut, and we're gonna stick by you for better or for worse. We hope for the best, and we hope the judge sees what we're all seeing, man. It's incredibly obvious, dude. You know, like, nothing's for certain, but it's like 99% from my perspective, right? Anyways, Opti, let's get to the meme review.
The Daily Meme Review.
Brought to you by Bitbox 2 Bitcoin Only Edition, a hardware wallet by Shift Crypto. Crypto-like cryptography. It's secure, it's open source, and it's so easy your mom can set it up. Self-custody is the revolution, and the Bitbox makes it simple. Do not leave your Bitcoin on an exchange. Order a Bitbox today. Beautiful, guys. Well, as you guys know, as Nico so eloquently says all the time, tweets are the bullets and memes are the artillery in this information war, and you guys are on the front line. You Bitcoiners out there, continue to meme, continue to push the sound money gospel, continue to counter the narratives, because people need Bitcoin and Bitcoin is the solution. And since we covered the ETH news, this one is not necessarily a meme per se, but I really love it, and it makes a very, very good picture in your mind. He goes, Ethereum fanboys, we saving the planet with a 0.2% reduction in global electricity consumption. The reality, Ethereum classic hash rate is going parabolic. So you're not doing anything over there.
Wait, hold on a second, because this is really important. We got something in the chat before you go, Opti. So Clout Casino, it says signatures and identities are different. He wants to bring in people to vouch for him. That will prove he's Satoshi, is his argument. We know there's certain addresses that belong to Satoshi. It's very well known, right? He's claimed he's owned those addresses in the Klein case. Why doesn't he sign for them? Anyways, sorry, Opti.
Dude, go off. Anyways, I quote tweeted our friend Mike Hobart, and he goes, "You do understand that the WEEF is backing ETH and are doing so simply to try and use it as a proxy to attack Bitcoin." Right and on, and I quote it right and on. And at Subsidyland goes, "It's all over the internet." And it's Vitalik, the Vitalik boner pick, and we got Klaus Schwab head on it, the merge. I thought it was funny because we've covered it. We don't know who's really behind the ETH. And furthermore, we posted this short the other day. JP Morgan owns Ethereum, and here's the receipts. And our friend McCoddleface goes, "I stand by my meme," and it's a time cover of Vitalik, and it goes, "JP Morgan helped me create an unregistered security. Then we took 70% for ourselves before offering it to the market. Them's are the facts." And then here's a solid meme by my buddy Paul, and he goes, "Proof of rich, the merge, that just sounds like fiat with extra steps," and it's referencing the Rick and Morty. And this next one, this is in line with the court case today, and it goes, "Fake CW, the only person in the room that's not Satoshi is Fake Toshi himself." And shouts out to everyone that's been in the courthouse supporting Hodlonaut. I heard it means a lot. And then this one, guys, I didn't cover this on the news story, but there's a very hilarious part in the CSW Hodlonaut case where he provides a handwritten supposed copy or pre-draft of the white paper, and it has it's written in pencil, and it crosses out electronic cash, and then it writes Bitcoin. And Joe Rogers just made that into a meme in and of itself. And then furthermore, as Nico and I covered, the fact that they're trying to say that the court can confiscate your Bitcoin just by a court order. This is a classic scene from The Wolf of Wall Street. "Brad, sell me this Bitcoin." And he goes, "Do me a favor, write down all the assets you own that can't be confiscated." And then The Wolf of Wall Street goes, "I can't think of any." Exactly. The famous "sell me your pencil" meme. Man, what a day. Anyways, guys, put in your meme review score. I forgot to tell you guys to put your meme review score, but today my meme review score is this other Simply Bitcoin sticker. It looks holographic, but it's not holographic in here. Anyways, Nico, what's your score?
Dude, my frustration, bro. That's my fucking score today, dude. Really, really upsets me, dude, that some awesome Bitcoiners have to spend time and effort fighting this while we could be focused on separating money from state. And that's unfortunate. That's my score. That's what I was thinking the entire fucking meme review, to be honest. Anyways, guys, drop your scores in the comments, and we got one from Max. He says, I give those memes a Liar Liar DVD. It's a good movie. It's with Jim Carrey, right?
Yeah.
Anyways, guys, if you have any more scores, drop it in the live chat. If you don't, going once, going twice, going 3 times. I also want to give a shout out to Simply Bitcoin's Telegram group. That's where you can rate the meme. No, not rate the meme. You could drop us memes to review on the meme review. All you got to go to is www.t.me/the Simply Bitcoin channel. Diogenes gives the memes a CSW merge with a proof of stake sheet. Paul says, my score is a signed TX that proves I control the keys. That is a powerful, powerful score. Z-Logic says, I give those memes Hodlonaut's lawyer fees. Very, very, very good score. Anyways, I also want to give a shout out to Simply Bitcoin Unfiltered. It's the written version of this show. Shout out Rustin. Check out www.simplybitcoin.news. Zach and Weinicus are also writing for us. Amazing writers. Guys, definitely want to go check it out. We're actually going to check it on the pleb site. Check out some of the new articles. And yeah, that's it. That's it for the scores. Anyways, Opti, let's get to the pleb sites.
Pleb sites.
Brought to you by CipherSafe. Don't be that person that loses their Bitcoin seed due to fire damage, water damage, dog attacks. Back up your generational Bitcoin wealth on steel, and there's no better place to do it than the Cypher Grid by CipherSafe. And now check out their new Bitcoin art, the Bitcoin Rulux triangle, only on cyphersafe.io. Guys, check out this pure signal dropping from Simply Bitcoin. Tyrant Trudeau versus Bitcoiner Pierre. Let's get it on. Bitcoin is on sale. Hidden theft, the inflation tax. Cheers to the disagreeable. El Salvador is attacked because they're winning. We will give you the pure signal, the unadulterated signal. Definitely go check it out. You don't want to miss it. It's absolutely free. Go to www.simplybitcoin.news. I also want to give a very special shout out to our awesome clothing sponsor. Opti and I wear the merch every single day. Represent LTD.com. It's stylish, it's comfortable, and you can take advantage of the promo code down below to get 10% off. RepresentLTD.com. All right, guys, that was our show. Thanks for joining us on another Simply Bitcoin Live. It's been a crazy couple of days. So much content for you guys. It looks like you guys are enjoying it. We appreciate all the love. The likes help. The subscribes help. And the number one thing you could do to help the show is share the video. That's what the YouTube algo likes the most. So if you have that uncle or you have that person that's still not orange pill, still doesn't believe it, share them a video of Simply Bitcoin. Get the truth out there. It's up to you to help your family and friends get on the Bitcoin train. We will see you on Friday, tomorrow, for another episode of Simply Bitcoin. We have Hodl Tarantula coming, so it should be a lot of fun. I messed up when I told that to Opti. Anyways, also join us on Twitter Spaces. See you later, guys.
Which one's the best crypto asset? Well, Bitcoin's the best crypto asset. Okay. What's the second best? There is no second best.